It's like the idea of time is only reinforced by our kind of remembrance of it.
Yeah.
And like our current bringing it up and making like, you got to force people to believe that. I think that's how stories, that's why stories existed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because people weren't able to recognize that action is gone, but okay, we reinforce the story over and over again so the belief grows,
It's true.
But I think it can be used in the wrong way.
It can. It's like forming an attachment to that thing as well,
How do people let go then? How do you let go of that idea of like, because how do you not let go of your own identity by doing that? If you have this identity of who you are and you hold on so strongly to it, and you're, this is who I am, and I know this because this is what I've always been. How does one go about? I know this is like $1 million question.
$1 million.
Psychologists have get paid loads of money to figure out if I want to do this. But from your kind of understanding of what you've been through in your own life, how does one go about, even if they don't get there, and how does one go about making the steps to let go?
Honestly, how do I put this into words? So from my experience of psychosis, when you go into a delusional state, you think you can do anything. You think you enter the realm of potentiality and realize you can manifest anything you want with your two hands. Nothing is stopping you. And even in my psychosis, I realized, I'll say a personal story. I'm a fucking simp. I used to be a simp. I used to be a hardcore simp. Putting women on pedestals. Yearning for that intimate love. All of that. And I realized, kind of during my psychosis, that I needed that identity to die. I needed to let go of that identity. So what did I do? I was like, I need to burn the boats. Straight Friedrich Nietzsche. I need to burn the boats. I need to completely distance myself from this identity. So how do I do it? I drop the nuke and completely revel in the ashes. That's what the thought process was. And it kind of worked,
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy at all. It's very destructive. But
I understand.
It worked, Sometimes you have to... the main point I'm trying to make by saying that is you have to realize that your identity isn't who you are. The story you tell yourself and the narrative that you tell yourself isn't who you are. So if you, quote unquote, burn the boats and do something to kind of interrupt or destroy that identity, then you kind of realize, okay, it's gone and I'm still here and I'm still alive, right? And I can rebuild from scratch again. I can learn from what I just done and, kind of recover in a sense and build a new identity based on the information that I've received.
Yeah, 100%.
Experience.
I think it's also the willingness to rebuild. I think a lot of the times we don't want to rebuild. It's so tiring. It's long. Like this, and I think also that we get stuck in the, like I know we've spoken this before. It's like the people's perception of us.
Yeah.
Before prison, the people's perception of us. If you are this type of person, your friends know you're this type of person. You're kind of incentivized to stay as that because you make friends like that. The minute you start being completely different, they'll be like, "Whoa, what's going on? I don't know who
you switched up on me, bro. It's like you're going Hollywood now."
And it's like maybe I just thought my identity was a wrong type. Maybe I thought my personal perception of myself was misguided, and I wanted to change that. Exactly. But we don't give room for people to make those changes, or most people don't do that. Good friends do though.
It's true. I think it happens most with families as well because they have a hard stuck perception of who you are, and they want it to stay like that for the most part. You know what I mean? And for me, I don't even know. I would say again, my psychosis kind of helped me with that because it showed my family, it showed my friends that maybe this guy isn't who I thought he was. The identity that I thought he was, I can't hold on to that. I don't know what to do with that. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? So, and that kind of freed me up to. That's the thing. The loss of identity for me kind of freed me up to be like, I can be anything I want to be at this point. I just have to put in the steps and take the steps to get there and build that person that I want to be. That's, I think, the highlight of my whole experience with psychosis.
I think also the loss of identity often comes with a loss of meaning. And I want to talk about meaning now because I think us culture really struggles for meaning. I think because we've let go of all the typical kind of things that previous cultures looked for: religion, family, community. All these things have been kind of broken down, more individualistic. But that also means that meaning, if you let go of meaning, you have to kind of rediscover it yourself. What was your journey from, like, you know, from losing meaning, because I know you mentioned, we talked about this, where nothing mattered. You didn't want to do anything at all. So you're having to rebuild what mattered for you again.
Where do I start with that one? I don't know, because I do hold on to the idea that, everything is meaningless. Because I've been reading the Bible, Ecclesiastes,
what was it called?
Ecclesiastes.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I can't really pronounce it. That word is crazy. But the whole, I think it's like 17 chapters. And through the whole thing, he just says everything is meaningless. He's like, toil is meaningless. Everything under the sun.
I think that guy was a little depressed.
Yeah, he was depressed as hell. Man. He said work is meaningless. Labor is
vanity, all is vanity.
Yeah, bro. And I was relating to that. I was like, this guy's spitting facts shit. I was like, this guy's spitting the facts. But despite all of that, he also spoke about, though it might be all meaningless, that we should enjoy our lives to the fullest. You know what I mean? Basically, that's basically what he was trying to say. We should love our wives to the fullest. We should enjoy our lives. We should enjoy the labor that we do and the toil that we do. And I think there's merit in that. There's value in that, right? For me, I didn't. I needed a reason for me to actually be able to do stuff. And I think that's why I was in such a languid state for so long. I was like, I don't have a reason why. I don't have a strong enough reason to actually do stuff, be productive and be positive, right? And I think I realized that meaning for me doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if it's meaningless. We still have to do it. We still live this life. We're still alive and we're still here. We still exist. So if I'm here, I might as well do something with my life, even if it is meaningless, even if I'm not going to be the best at it, even if I'm going to suck at it, even if it disappoints my family, all these different things, like I'm going to do something because I want to do it, because I've chosen this pathway for myself, and I don't know if there's meaning in that, but for me, it just felt like, I can build something, I have the potential to be able to do something. So if I can do it, that would be really fucking cool. That's literally where I'm at,
It feels to me it's more embodied than intellectual when it comes to meaning, because like you're mentioning that is meaningful, like you're doing things in the world to make an impact. That is the definition of meaning, but you can still have doubts over if this actually is meaningful in the end. I think that's what it's about, your scope of vision.
It actually, I agree.
Do you look at things in the minute, or do you look at things in the scope of like the earth?
That's the thing. I used to think of like things kind of, it used to go back and forth, it used to be like a spectrum, like a waveform or something. Sometimes I'll think of it in the grand scheme of things. Sometimes I would isolate down into what I'm actually doing with my life on a smaller scale. But now I kind of think of it on a smaller scale, because I realize at the end, we all end up in the same place, We all have the same destination, which is, death, of course. All right. And I realize nothing, in the grand scheme of things, nothing really matters. It's kind of nihilistic, but at the same time, it's like, we're here now. Like I said before, we're here now. If you shrink it down to the smaller scope, everything might be meaningless from that perspective, but we might as well do the things that we want to do with our lives because we have the opportunity to do so.
I mean, for me, at least, I'll tell you how I think. I mean, slight pushback, because I'm optimistic. And I think everything means everything. I think there's two perspectives. Nothing means anything, or everything. Everything
means everything.
Because I think like the idea that nothing means anything in the final analysis is assuming that the minute details you do now doesn't make up the meaning in the end. So like the day-to-day things that you do now, if you think about the end of your life and you go like nothing means anything because I will die in the end of my life, but you're not there yet. You have like how many days we don't even know how many days, but how many days you live until then. If you do live each day as if it means something, And at the end, you reach it having lived a compelling narrative. Having looked back and be like, this means something because I lived the narrative. Whether you don't, I think we're almost looking for an outside perspective to prove to us that there's meaning.
True.
Like definitive evidence, as if we're scientists.
True.
But that's not how this world works, and that's not how meaning works.
It doesn't.
It is really like a fake until you make it. It's a lived experience.
It's a fake until you make it situation. I agree with that, to be honest.
It's a lived experience, and I think the more you live it, the more you kind of build that. And I think you can build it around until you get to a point where you're not asking yourself those questions anymore.
Yeah.
Those questions. I read something when I was young. It's like the problems of philosophy must be tackled, preferably before one has to face those questions in real life. And it's like, before you have to face this question, well, once you do, you're done. You go. You stop thinking about what Nietzsche sat there, I don't know what questions he was asking himself. He's actually a G, by the way. I'm not gonna share Nietzsche. He's actually a G. But you know what I mean? The over intellectualization of the world, of the ideas, and I fall prey to it too. But I have to remind myself every time I do that that's not actually helping. It's like you're listening too much to that voice in your head.
That's actually true. And I think I like that, not helping. Because at the end of the day, we all have like ideals that we believe the world should be, how we should act. We all have a belief of what this life means, what the human condition is, and how it should be lived, right? And what do you call it? I think it's got to be something functional, right? It's got to be something functional. You want something functional that's going to help you change your life, right? Or something functional that's going to help you to push you towards your goals and that ideal that you've brought up for yourself, So
on that topic then, is there such a thing as like functional lie or functional mistruth you tell yourself in order to get yourself, and especially if you're in a dark place, right? What's like an idea of something that's like maybe not true, but like true enough for you in that moment that will help you get past that moment so you can look back on it? You know what I mean?